Hi, everyone. I'm Janice Wood. Welcome to a Senior Citizens Forum presented by Benefits for You Too Insurance Services. My guest today is Arash Ghodstinat. He has been my guest several times. His company is called Computech, and he's located in Irvine, California, but he'll work anywhere remotely if he needed to. Okay. And Arash, as I said, he's been my guest several times. He just has a lot of information on information technology. And one of the things, Arash and I did a broadcast on August 24th of 2020, where we talked about scamming. So I'm going to talk about scamming for a couple of minutes with Arash, and then we're going to get into the subject for today of optimization, making sure your computers are running at top speed for whatever you're using it for, and computers are used for many, many, many different things. So just quick, I am an licensed insurance agent. My specialty is Medicare and health insurance. And I'm not going to focus on any of that today because we have a lot to cover during this broadcast. But about scamming, did you realize that in the last several years, scamming has gone up over 400% and targeting senior citizens? But right now, scamming is really targeting our COVID stimulus money that's coming into it. So if you get a phone call asking for any personal information, your social security number, your bank account information, if they don't have that information when they're calling you, it's a scam. And Arash, if you've got something to add to that, you may.
Good morning, everyone. This is Arash Discuss with Computech. Thanks, Janice, for inviting me. I just want to say very briefly, Happy Nowruz. It's a Persian New Year right now. So to all Persian people that are watching this show and anyone that celebrated, wish everyone a great year.
When I ever see you in person for your New Year, I have some honey.
Oh, thank you very much.
From the farm, specifically for you. Yes.
Appreciate it. About scamming, as Janice mentioned, first of all, no one will call you to ask, from Social Security, from IRS, no one will call you. They always send you a letter, not even an email. If they send you, they say, okay, can you give me your Social Security to access this? Or we want to do this to access your bank account, to give you the PPP, the loan, or any kind of this. Make sure it's a valid location, or the person that email you, just check the email. Who is it from? That's very important to check the email. And if they call, they never call you. That's one thing. Bottom line, the banks, banks may call you, but Social Security, IRS, tax, anything like any of those never call you. They always send you mail.
And please do not, if somebody calls you and you say you're from the bank and they start asking you for your account information, don't give it to them. Same thing if it's a credit card, don't give it to them. They're calling you. Then I would turn around and call them back.
That's exactly what I want to say. If they call you from the bank, they may say, okay, this is from the bank. That's fine. Which bank? If you have an account with that bank, say, thank you very much. I'm going to call them right now. Then disconnect the phone and then call the bank. And then you find out. Never answer anything to them over the phone.
Right. Because I know I've been getting all these crazy scam phone calls. My best one, I'm going off subject right now, was somebody calling me from Amazon confirming my order. And I'm going, I didn't order anything. So how can you confirm my order? Okay.
That's exactly right. The scam email is very important too, Janice. One thing I want to assure everyone knows, we talked about it in our last...
on August 24th.
Exactly. But please make sure when you receive an email, even from your friend, even from someone that you know, be very careful to if they tell you, can you buy me this gift card for my employees? Can you transfer this money for me? Always check the from email. Always check with the sender if you know them. If you don't know them, never do that. And always check if you go to your email, it says from, for example, Janice, double click on Janice's name and you will see the email address. If you don't know the email address, definitely is a scam, and then you delete it. And do not open any attachment on those emails.
Well, this is going to take us right into optimization, okay?
Sure.
Because some of those emails that we get can have viruses, which will affect the optimization. Now, you and I spoke about viruses and malware last January of this year, 28th, okay? Mm-hmm. So if anybody wants more information on that, but those viruses can slow down our computers.
Correct.
And have them not working correctly.
That is true. That is true. So very good point that you brought up. So technically, the example that we have, like dentist, you don't want to go to the dentist when you have pain. You just want to go to dentist to prevent the pain. So computer optimization is a main key to prevent these things and then have a safe and fast environment. And to do that, it's very important to follow some basic rules. First, always, as we mentioned before, if you use Windows, Mac, anything, especially Windows user or Mac, they have constantly need to update their computers. If Microsoft has a new update, make sure you run those updates. If your computer is in auto update, it's perfectly fine, but some updates may not run and you have to run them manually. So Windows update. So that's the main thing you have to do, because they call it patch. These are the patch that Microsoft released, some of them, and those are the prevention for the new viruses, for the new ransomware, for the new things that's happening. And if you run them, it can prevent it. Also for Mac, the same thing. And one thing I want to mention, there are new antiviruses like ESET that we use, or SOFO. Those are, you can whoever manage your computer, if you have a business and someone manage it, if you install those antiviruses, they can see if your computer has any updates or anything like that. There are management services. These are just the two antiviruses I mentioned, but there are many more management services that we use. We put it on the computers, and they give the computer give us a notification, either Mac or PC, that this computer need to be updated. So that's the first thing, update. It's very important. Second thing is, as you mentioned, when you get an email, it's not safe or anything, you need to have a good protection for your computer. Then we talked about it last time. A good antivirus is very important to have. If you have a business, definitely a firewall that we talked last time. To just refresh our memory, is firewall is like a gate in front of your house. You want a very secure gate so no one can come inside. But if they pass and come inside, now you want to secure windows, which is antivirus, the secure door inside, all those things. So that's the antivirus. The antiviruses, Janice, lots of them now scan emails. Means they'll go, and if they find something suspicious on the emails that has virus or threat, they will delete that email or put them in quarantine, and then you can delete them. So that's the next thing.
And that even happens when you use social media, doesn't it? If you pick a friend that is not.
That's true. Any valid website can happen as well. You can go to the valid website and then click on something that, hackers just put it there, or this, these people put it there, and then something installed in your computer, and then that's it. It start growing. And the updates are a very good tool. That's the main thing you need to do. There are many other tools that you can do. One is, the easy part is, just the basic, I'm going to talk. If you have disk defragment and disk cleanup on your computer, make sure you run them constantly, especially disk cleanup. This cleanup, what it does is it goes to the temp file of the computer, and temporary file is the files that downloaded from internet. You really don't need it. And if you don't clean it up, your computer won't do it automatically. And over the time, it's going to be very full, and it makes your computer very slow. So we saw some temp files in the computers that have over 20 gig. 20 gig is a big file. 20 gig is like, imagine you have like 10,000 of pictures of, so downloaded there, and they say our computer is very slow. So what we do first, we go make sure their computer is up to date, and also their temp file is clean. They have up-to-date antivirus. And I want to talk about antivirus a little more that can cause slowness in your computer. if you want, I can mention it now or later. Janice.
Okay, we can do it now.
The antivirus, some of the antiviruses, all of them has pros and cons. The pros are a lot more than cons, but the cons are, especially when you use Adobe or some special software, the antivirus can cause slowness on those software. If you see that one, that's very important to contact that antivirus provider or whoever is your IT company is. They can add the extension of that file. For example, Adobe, they can say star.pdf and exclude that for antivirus. It means the antivirus won't do anything to the PDF. Antivirus knows it's safe and it won't scan that anymore. Then those software will be fast. So that's one thing is important. Lots of people ask questions recently. I have PDF and this antivirus, for example, Viper always scan any PDF you open. If the PDF is an Acrobat file.
No, Viper, that's a name of an antivirus program.
The name of the antivirus. Thanks for that, bring it up. Yeah. And that always does that. It's a good antivirus, but you have to know how to use it, to implement it and optimize it to make it work the best for your computer.
Okay. Now, I noticed when I was going through, they talked a lot about defragging your computer, sure. Going in and cleaning it. So just say, I mean, everybody, people that are watching us, you can be using it for business. You can be using it as for social media. Okay. I use it for business. I use it for personal. Obviously, we're doing this on Zoom. I'm a Zoomer because I do a lot of Zooming. Okay. But I know that they call it defragging. And years ago, I watched somebody defrag a computer.
Right.
It was actually fun to watch. Okay.
That's exactly right. Yes.
And if you get too much, correct me if I'm wrong, if you get too much information and it's everywhere, I'm using the word defrag, it slows the computer down from what I understand. That's correct?
Exactly. That is totally right. You mentioned it. You said it very good. So yes, if you after a while you're using your computers and saving files, doesn't matter, pictures, music, anything, Word documents, Adobe PDF. After a while, your computer start getting slow because it's using it, and then defragment is very important. Defragment is, and then disk cleanup. Those two tools, and each Windows has it, Mac has it in a different way. Those two tools help the computer make it a lot faster, especially for the people downloading from internet and saving files a lot. So constantly try to do it at least once a month. At least once a month. If you can do every week, that's perfect. Then you can do it over the night, run the defrag and go sleep. The next day is done. And this cleanup is fast. If you do it every week, it's not going to take more than 2 minutes, and then you can clean it up, and then
And that's even on the Apple products.
Yes, in the Apple products, they have a different way. It's not as like Windows. It's a little different, but they have something for Apple as well.
What if you have, a lot of us have, let's say, I hate to give manufacturers, Microsoft products on our Apple product, okay?
Right.
So you still need to defrag it.
Yeah, you still need to do that if the options. Main thing for Mac is, Mac actually, people think, we talked about it last time, they cannot get virus or any problem. That's the wrong assumption. They have a very good security, obviously. They have, their security is better or was better. I don't know recent research, but the last research that we studied was Mac was stronger than PC, and Linux. It's another operating system that's stronger, the strongest. So, but even in Mac, you need to update your operating system. You need to do things that you constantly, I mean, you have to pay attention to your device. If you want a fast device. We had a client, we talked a couple of days ago, and a friend actually too called me. Their Mac was slow, very slow. We found out it had some virus. It has some issues. When they try to open, internet or social media, Facebook, the links, it always say, oh, the link cannot be opened, has some issue, something like that. So definitely these issues can happen to Mac as well if you don't optimize it correctly. But main thing is, it doesn't matter what you have. you have to take care of it constantly. The consistency is very important. It's not that I say, okay, wow, after this show, I'm going to go update, I'm going to go do the disk cleanup, this defragment, whatever you want to have to do, and then done. In 6 months, you want to do it, then your computer is going to be very slow by the time. So consistency is very important.
So that's really important, because when we first get your computer, it always runs fast.
Exactly.
And never done that defragging or cleaning it up. That's why it's slow.
That's why it's slow. Yes.
And what happens if now I do a little bit of everything on the computer. So I do some gaming, but I don't do the big shoot, game.
Right.
So that can slow down your computer too.
Can slow down. It depends on Janice. Very good point that you brought up is if you have a business and your business computer, what they usually the owner wants or the HR wants, they really don't want their employees go and then do have gaming or social media. Right nowadays is okay if they do it on their break time, but especially IT departments, or if for example our team don't want them to go too much to different things than their work, because that can cause problems. It's very hard to control when you use one computer for different reasons. If it's your personal computer, that's a totally different story. You can play game, you can play whatever you want, but you have to be very careful to take care of it, because it's like the other things. It's not. It's like your car. You can have a car for off-roading. You can have a car for racing. And you can say, I want to have a Jeep, but I want to do racing and off-roading with it. Yeah, you can, but after 2-3 years, it's going to go down. And you have to maintain it better than usual. But the worst thing can happen to a computer is it's extremely slow. When it's extremely slow, what we do usually, we format the computer. Means we wipe out everything, install Windows from the scratch, and hopefully the computer has a good backup. So we retrieve all the files from the backup, install the programs. It's going to be like a brand new computer. And with the existing files, they don't see a difference, and it's going to be very fast, like the beginning.
Now, what happens if you have an older computer?
Older computer, actually, if you maintain it good, it'll work for a while. But unfortunately, either Mac or PC, they will force you to buy a new computer after a certain time. Why? Because they, as you know, we had Windows XP, then Windows Vista, then Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows 8, 8.1, and then Windows 10. So if you had a computer in the Windows XP time, you cannot technically use it for Windows 10 unless you either upgrade it or buy a new computer. When we say we upgrade a computer, it may cost more than to buy a new computer. And even if you pay more, it's not as fast as a new computer. So it's better to upgrade. Means it's better to buy a new computer if you have a computer for a long time.
So just really quickly, when he's talking about buying, so when you're running a software program on your computer, you have to buy the license in order to use it.
That's exactly right. That's the circle or chain that's connected. If you use, I want to talk a little about it. If you know, again, go back to, let's say, Windows XP. They used to have a software we used to call 32-bit. Means 32-bit. It means it was certain, amount of storage, everything that's the computer could use. The newer one started from XP. They had 64-bit, and Windows 10. 90% of the computers are 64-bit right now. And lots of software that were 32-bit doesn't work with Windows 10. So you have to purchase the 64-bit software. So to match that. So all these things are connected. Fortunately or unfortunately, they force you to buy new things, software and hardware, after a while. Yeah.
I know I was having trouble with an older Mac, okay? Yeah. And I went and bought a new Mac. And then because I have someone who works with me, okay, we went and we cleared out the old Mac. And she uses that one and I use the new one. But she'll want to come on my newer one because it's faster.
That's true. And you have a newer OS, most probably Mac OS.
Right.
The one is older Mac OS that has newer program can be installed. Technically, you have lots of it. I mean, hardware plays a very big role in the speed. And one thing is very I want to say is people think memory or RAM is a very good, very important part of a computer. But remember, when you purchase a computer, when you see those advertisements and say, oh, this one has 16 gig of memory, that's the cheapest part of a computer. When you purchase a computer, always pay attention on how many CPU, what's the CPU. i7 is a very good CPU. i7, is it
Explain what a CPU is and what a RAM is for those
actually,
that are novice into this.
technical, I want to forget. CPU is like a brain of the computer. Brain of the computer is CPU. So CPU is the main core. If the CPU goes down, the whole computer will go down. If one of them RAM goes down, the computer still can work. RAM is something that help the computer to transfer data, read and write. So for example, you save something, you have bigger memory, it's faster. You open a software, you have a bigger memory, means RAM. Higher memory, so instead of 4 gig, you have 16 gig, it's a lot faster. Another part, or last part I want to mention, I don't want to go too much of detail technical, but very important is the hard drive. Hard drive used to be very basic. I mean, the storage, if they tell you this computer has like 2 terabyte, means 2000 gigabyte of hard drive, don't be attracted by those numbers. First thing you need to understand is, what is that hard drive? The solid state hard drive, or abbreviation is SSD hard drives, those are very important. They play a very big role. Doesn't matter, again, Mac or Windows for PC, both are the same. Solid states makes your computer very fast. And the difference is when you turn on the computer, it takes like 30 seconds to boot up and everything comes up, versus the old one, 2-3 minutes. So these factors are very helpful to make your computer very fast. Plus, taking care of the software or an operating system.
Okay. So we talked about, we're going to go back a little bit, about if you keep your computer upgraded all the time, okay, up until the point where your hardware system no longer will support it, okay, and you have to go buy a new one, okay. But because you were saying, I'm trying to get this all out correctly, because you were saying it's going to cost, if you don't keep the software upgraded, it's going to cost you more to keep up those licenses to use that software.
True. Yes.
Am I in the right?
You could kind of. What I'm trying to say, software, sometimes it's very good to maintain them correctly, but main thing is your operating system. Operating system is Windows. Windows 10 is called operating system. Mac OS 14, 12, 11, all those are operating system. If you keep your operating system, optimized, if you keep it healthy, you update it, you defrag it, disk cleanup, all these things, your Windows or any operating system lasts longer. Along the way, you have software. For example, you use Microsoft Word, you use Adobe PDF, you use QuickBooks, all these things are software. Software sometimes can they have problems. For example, some software like Microsoft Word and all those things, Microsoft Office, you don't need to upgrade them all the time. But some software for CPAs, QuickBooks and all those, you need to upgrade them because new things come out. And when they upgrade them, even the brand new, sometimes it has some issues. So either you have to contact the company, or if a software has issue, any software, you can, if your operating system works good, you can clean it up, uninstall it, means uninstall and clean up your computer, and then reinstall it, and it becomes fast and good. You don't necessarily need to buy a new one. You still can use the version you have, as long as your operating system works fine, the environment is good. It's like your car, the engine, everything works fine. Inside the car, something has problem. You don't need to go and change it. You just can go and then fix it. Fixing in this part is just uninstall, reinstall the software, everything become okay. Yeah.
And that's a good analogy, comparing it to the car.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. I totally like that. Yeah. Okay. Now, what happens if I know I do businesses that have their own hard drives, and I have to sign into them. So, So it's just like using Zoom. So I'm going to use Zoom and Facebook more so for this, for what I'm talking about, because
Sure.
I would think that's who our audience may be. They're always updating their systems.
Yes, that is correct. They're always updating. If you use your phone to use like your iPhone, your Android, anything you have, make sure if those software or those applications have any updates, run those updates. It's very important. The pros is they update a lots of time. Their updates is security updates. So they call it, the holes, the security holes. They block those holes. They just fix it and all these things. The con is if you have an older version of phones, when you update these applications, sometimes it doesn't work on the old phone, and they tell you, oh, you need a newer phone to use that. So it can happen too. But there is, unfortunately, in this case, if you have an update, it's always recommended to update it unless you.
Well, I know that I have some friends that are not. They're fighting the computer age. Okay.
Sure.
And they're fighting a losing battle. Okay. All right. But they don't want, let's say they have some form of a smartphone. They don't like upgrading it because they understand the system as it stands now. All right. And when that upgrade comes up, it creates a problem on their part because they don't understand how it works again.
Exactly.
And
that is totally right, Janice. And fighting with technology, even though I'm their part, because I don't like it. I miss Blockbuster, right? Remember the Blockbuster stores? You go buy, choose your movie. I mean, it doesn't matter. Right. You can watch any movies you want right now. But the environment, the environment we have, we go open the door. Okay, I want to watch this one, rent this one. But you know the story. What happened was, we talked about it, I think. Netflix offered Blockbuster to be bought for $100 million. And they said, no, wait, we're never going to buy you. We're always going to beat you. And then look what happened right now. So in our environment, unfortunately, and for me, especially in our situation, I missed lots of old things we had. For hobby, I used to do DJing and then bring all these DVDs, musics, and all these things. They're not exist anymore. When I talk to my kids, they don't even know what I'm talking about. So it's like a different language. And then if you don't learn the new language, we'll be behind. We like it or don't like it. Unfortunate. This is the way it's happening. Remember 2 years ago, we talked, Janice, can we have a show on Zoom or something like that? It was okay for you, but for lots of people say, no, why? We can come live and we can come and sit down and watch you. But right now, this is the way it happened. It may change again. It may not. It may be a different way in a couple of years. We may be. So you're right. You have to be up to date.
I think the computers are going to become more and more important. And I'm going to come from the health insurance side of it, because now your doctor's offices, instead of going in and talking to your doctor, you're now doing it over your smartphone, your iPad, or your computer.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's true.
You've got a computer that doesn't have a camera, you have a problem. And I've run across people lately, they don't have.
Sure.
So so it's just really hard, to not be doing the upgradings and keeping that hardware up to date to meet all the new things. I mean, I don't know if you remember, because I don't think you were in the United States, there was a cartoon. It was called the Jetsons.
Oh yeah, I watched it. Yeah, at the time I wasn't here, but we always watched it every week. Yeah, it was very interesting.
Okay, but if you look at most of what was in the Jetsons, that's what we're doing today.
That's exactly right. You're totally right. Yeah, the Jetson is not. It's interesting that they predicted long time ago. That is true.
You used to see them talking to the doctor on their computer screen.
And one thing about that you brought up, it's very important, because sometimes, honestly, for some people, it's hard to upgrade all the time, and because it's expensive, it's not cheap. Recently, some of the parts, the computer parts, are getting cheaper, but it's not easy to spend like $1,000 every other year, even every other year. You just want to spend one time and then be good for 5 years. So always, when you want to get a new computer or a new thing, plan it for a long term. It means buy the best for the best price, and also take care of it. Taking care of it are these things that we just talked. I mean, optimizations means taking care of it, means don't go to the websites. If you feel it's a threat, then don't say, oh, okay, I don't care, I just gonna go. Just be conscious, and your computer is going to be much faster and much safer.
Yeah. And one of the things that you're talking about is that in another lifetime for me, I worked for the Los Angeles City Fire Department.
Sure.
And I was in charge of putting out bids for technology, anything that had to do with communications.
Right.
That went on in the fire department. And they always, their marking was 7 years. A piece of electronics was going to be obsolete.
Absolutely. Exactly. Yes. Especially you can see that very often, especially at big corporations. That I used to be an employee in big corporations. After 5 years, for lots of parts, they say, okay, let's replace it. It costs less. Instead of, we add this, we add this, we change it. Yeah. 5 to 7 years, as you mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah. 5 to 7 years. And it was like, I mean, I remember the cell phones at that time.
Right.
The paramedics would go out and they would use the cell phones to connect to the emergency rooms in the hospital. Exactly. And if the cell phone company didn't do the upgrade, it was horrible.
That's horrible. Yeah.
They didn't tell us if they did an upgrade. That was the problem then.
That is true. But for home is different. You can plan to have something around 10 years, even more. Again, if you plan it correctly. My computer, one of the computers I have in my home is I built it in 2011 and still running perfectly fine. So, but I optimized it a lot, even formatted a couple years ago, and then let's keep it up to date.
But that's getting into another subject of optimization.
For home is different than office, so don't panic that for home you must change it every 5 years. No, you can keep it as long as when you purchase it right, and then you optimize it correctly.
So wouldn't that depend upon what you're using it for?
That's exactly right too. That's the next thing. If you just use it, again, if you have a Jeep and then you use it for racing and off-roading, yes, it's going to go down quick. Right. Not quick, but around 5 years.
So a lot of our audience here would be seniors. So if they're new to Zooming, or they're new to social media, they may not need to do that hardware upgrades as soon.
No, they don't. If they just use it for a certain thing, and again, if they optimize it correctly, they don't need it. The computer they have can last for a long time. But if their Windows or Mac they're using, gets corrupted or anything happened to it and gets slow, then they need to take a look at it, see if they need to clean it, they need a good antivirus, they need to format it, what situation they have. And as long as they have a good backup and finish all those processes, their computer can be fast and good again. Okay. So they don't need to replace the hardware, not necessarily.
So products to use, are there different products out there? Because yesterday I saw pages and pages of information, and I would say 80% of it was on a product purchase.
Sure.
So what should you be looking at in a product that would help your computer go
to
fast?
Optimize your computer? To be honest, the product that you can use, there are many things. You really don't, if you use it for personal use, you just check your bank accounts, all these things. You really don't need that much of fancy products. What you need to be first main product, I can tell you, spend your money on education. Educate yourself as much as possible about phishing emails, about viruses out there, about how do they steal social security, the identifications. That's the main thing. When you learn about it, you learn what tools you need for the use of your computer you do. But for someone for basic, I buy this computer, I just want to go to Zoom, Facebook, Instagram, and then just go to my bank account. Make sure you have a secure password. If whenever you log into your bank account, Zoom, anything, always log out when you're done and close it. If you get a suspicious email that we talked at the beginning, always make sure do not follow their instruction, delete them, and have a good antivirus. And if you can have a firewall, definitely have a good firewall. These are the basic things, tools that you need.
Well, there's one more thing that I think people should have, and that's a good backup system.
Sure. Oh, that's exactly right. Yes, we talked about it, I think, but we can talk
Yeah,
more.
we did, but I think just to reinforce it, you need to have a backup in case your computer does go down.
I think that's a very good subject to talk more in our next show.
Okay.
But your backup is to just start it. Definitely, you need 2 or 3 different backups. If you want to be safe, always have a backup in the external hard drive if you're home. I'm not talking about business. And then cloud backup if you use Dropbox, Google.
Okay.
So backups, again, I just want to mention it very quick. The backup for home I'm talking about is good to have local backup, which is you can have external hard drive, and also have a cloud backup like Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, all these tools, or nightly or hourly backup like CrashPlan, SOS, and all those things be set up. Depends on what exactly using your computer. If you use lots of files that's very important to you, it's good to have a constant, nightly backup setup.
Well, I would think for my group here, pictures, which is
Pictures.
very important.
Very important.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
remember
You lost those pictures.
Yeah. Those hard drive, if you drop it on anything, they can go down. So that's good to have it in 2 locations. And even if your hard drive connected to your computer and computer get virus or the ransomware, it can wipe out your hard drive as well if it's connected at the time to the computer.
Okay. So I'm going to have Lauren bring up, or I have it. Okay. I have it. I'm going to bring up how to contact Arash and myself. We covered a lot of really good information this morning. Okay. So if you look over here, you can see how to contact myself and Arash. Arash has some, if you need to contact him for some good information and how to keep your computer optimized, you know how to contact him at his Computech company over here. If you need any information on scamming, I have a library of information on scamming. All you have to do is contact me. You contact me through Facebook. You can contact me on Instagram because we are posting this to Instagram TV. And we are posting on LinkedIn. And just this week, we're starting to put these shows onto podcasts. So we're going to have a podcast library, and you will be able to find out how to contact us on the different podcasts. So Arash, I know you took us into the next show that we're going to do, and that's talking about hard drives. And I look forward to having you back on in a couple of months. And you have a wonderful day, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much for doing this, Janice, and thanks for your invite. And thank you, everyone. You're more than welcome to email or call us, and I would like to help as much as possible. Yeah.
And Arash means this from his heart.
Thank you very much.
Which is really good.